Hello, and welcome to this session on improving lease terms on renewal, which I'll be presenting for Legal Futures. I'm Mark Shelton. I'm a non practicing solicitor and commercial property management law trainer. Used to be in practice with Linklaters, DLA, Piper, and Evershed Sutherland. The Landlord and Tenant Act 1954 entitles a tenant to a new tenancy. But do we just start with a blank sheet of paper? What terms should it contain? The Act gives some guidance on the terms the court should determine for the new lease, but fairly limited, really. Much more of the law comes from decided cases. And unfortunately, for those of us trying to advise, most of those cases are at county court level. So they're often unreported, they're not binding precedents. But one has to try to keep on top of them and be familiar with them because, of course, what the court might do, what the court is likely to do, is going to set the parameters for the parties' negotiations. So the parties are going to want to know how the court is likely to decide issues over length of term, of course, most importantly, the level of rent, other terms that might be of great commercial importance, break options, use restrictions. Again, the parties need to know what the court's likely to do. And changing circumstances bring new considerations as to what appropriate lease terms might be to deal with issues like COVID-19 and climate change. So we'll look at all these aspects in the light of the most recent case law. We're going to talk about the property comprised in the new lease, the length of the term, the rent, and broad heading, but all other terms. And that reflects the relevant provisions of the 1954 Act. These are the sections which give directions to the court to determine the terms of the new lease. So Section 32 deals with how the court should determine the extent of the property to be comprised in the new tenancy. Section 33 provides for the court to determine the length of term of the new lease. Section 34, the big important one really, sets out the basis for determination of the rent. And the other big important one, Section 35, which provides for the court to determine all of the other terms of the lease. Now, in each case, the court can only decide an issue under any of these sections if the parties have not agreed on it. And of course, it's likely the parties are ultimately going to agree on all matters and enter into a new lease. In that case, proceedings are usually disposed of by a discontinuance or by a consent order. Or the parties may not enter into the new lease immediately. They might reach an agreement for the terms of a new lease to begin at some future date. And in those circumstances, Section 28 provides that the current tenancy continues until and ends upon the agreed commencement date for the new tenancy. But in the meantime, it ceases to be a tenancy to which the Act applies.